overnight, Subaru now has an entire electric vehicle lineup, from the entry-level Uncharted to the Solterra, which we just tested a few months ago, this all-new Trailseeker, and even a three-row EV, the Getaway. And none of this would have been possible without their collaboration on this particular platform with none other than Toyota. But this all-new 2026 Subaru Trailseeker is actually much more Subaru than all of those other electric vehicles. You see, this one's actually built in Subaru's own facility in Japan, and unlike the Solterra, Uncharted, and the Subaru Getaway, this one has a lot more Subaru tuning and engineering. So of course, we've been living with this all-new Subaru Trailseeker over the course of the week, seeing how it's been like to drive and explore all of its interesting and unique features. And of course, in this video today, we're going to take you on a full in-depth tour and review of this all-new Subaru Trailseeker. And we're going to go over why I think this might actually be a better buy than the all-new Subaru Outback, as it's a more traditional overall design look, offering pretty impressive features, capability, and a little bit more tech than that all-new Outback even. Let's go dive in. Now, popping open the hood of the all-new Subaru Trailseeker over here, we're going to find, well, not much. Now, under the hood here is no front trunk, just like in the Subaru Solterra, and we actually have a manual strut there. But of course, we have all of our electronic components, our fluids and stuff underneath the hood over here. I wish there was a front trunk, but they never really engineered this platform to have one. Nonetheless, this is the most powerful Subaru, well, at the time being, you can actually get right now. This dual motor standard powertrain here makes a wild 375 horsepower. And since this is the Subaru variant here, this dual motor system is always active. It's always providing you all-wheel drive, just like their combustion vehicles with Subaru's signature symmetrical all-wheel drive. And this vehicle with all this power can do 0 to 60 in like 4 seconds, which is pretty crazy for this family-size wagon design. And it could still be very capable on the roads, actually. It's one of the lightest vehicles in this segment at just around 4,500 pounds. A lot of competition, especially from brands like General Motors, are well over 5,000 pounds. So you definitely notice that weight loss there. Now, this is all being powered by around a 74, 77-ish kilowatt hour battery pack in that area. And that isn't the biggest battery pack in this class or just in general. And that really is showing in the range department. Now, maximum range figures from this Subaru Trailseeker can be in the 270 to 280 EPA miles of range. In this particular touring trim with the larger wheels, we've been seeing on our guessometer inside around 236 miles, though having driven this vehicle well north of 200 miles this past week, it is a little bit conservative on that estimate, so that 250, maybe 260 miles of range on this particular one with the larger tires on summer weather, actually, that's probably going to be a more realistic real-world range. And this vehicle, surprisingly, is actually quite efficient. We've been seeing 3.7 to 4 miles per kilowatt hour over this week of testing. That's actually really good, and that's thanks to how good this thing is with efficiency, its ability to coast on the roads and not really use up so much power. But we'll get to that in the rest of this review. I would like to see range improved, and we do actually have a standard NACS port, the Tesla charging port, on the passenger front side of the vehicle. Not the best overall placement, but it is nice to see we have that ability here. And since this isn't the most advanced battery pack system, it's only running on a just under 400 volt architecture here, which means charging speeds from 10 to 80% are just around 30 minutes. So we don't have crazy fast DC charging times either on this particular vehicle. But again, this has all been improved since Subaru first started out with the original Solterra way back when, with that updated one we saw earlier this year. They made significant improvements, and all of those improvements have carried over to this Trailseeker and even enhanced just a little bit more, especially in the driving dynamics. Now, we've driven quite a lot of Subarus on Allcarnews this year, from this all-new updated Subaru Solterra just a few months ago, as well as the all-new Subaru Outback in the top spec Wilderness trim, and we found that vehicle to be a little bit straying from the traditional Outback formula. This Trailseeker really does reintroduce that more sleeker, almost sleeper-esque design with this new trim and model. And I think this is going to appeal to a lot more Subaru customers who are a little bit upset of the direction the Outback is now going into right now. And this one, in this touring spec, looks absolutely fantastic. Now, we do have to mention that this is actually around overall $5,000 cheaper at its starting point than its family member, the Toyota BZ woodland. And overall, the design, I think, looks pretty sharp. We have very sleek new headlights. This is Subaru's new kind of distinctive EV signature headlight here. Very reminiscent of almost like Porsche style headlights with those individual elements there. Very bright daytime running lights as well. And our headlights are located in this plastic cladding trim piece that actually have headlight washers in this particular trim as well. So if you're on a trail, you can get all that stuff cleaned off if there's mud. We also are getting a front camera over here. Unfortunately, that does not get a washer and does get covered up with some dirt and mud, and it will warn you to clean it manually. And we have a large Subaru badge up front here. And I think this paint color, the kind of two-tone styling with the paint on the hood and this front area over here, as well as this bright work trim on the lower front kind of cladding area, all really looks very nice. It's not super overstyled as well, which we really do appreciate. This Trailseeker also is getting around 8.5 inches of ground clearance. So that's more ground clearance you're gonna get than the Toyota BZ Woodlands as well. And this one's also getting some really great rugged, kind of trail focused features. We have these large roof rails over here with a lot of versatile options you can add onto there. And we're getting a nice, great 360 camera system on this particular touring specification. Some rugged cladding on the side of the vehicle and the rear as well. This is a great looking sort of Subaru station wagon. They really nailed it on the design front here. Now this is actually the same wheelbase of the Subaru Solterra, but the overall length has been stretched. It's a little bit longer actually than the BZ Woodlands due to the more stretched bumper areas. And of course, it's not actually as big as the Subaru Outback. It's a little bit smaller just by a bit in all overall dimensions. So if you don't want something as big as the new Outback or as small as a Forester, this is a really perfect in-between style vehicle there. And it's just around a bit bigger than a Subaru Solterra, so nothing too crazy out of the ballpark in that department as well. Now joining me over on the wheel and tire front over here, this is one area where I already think Subaru could improve, and I feel they may have something in the works. So I really do like this wheel design. This is the 20-inch wheel option. Yes, it's not going to get you the best range out of the Subaru Trailseeker, but I think it looks really great. It reminds me of things from like the Crosstrek and the Forester as well, so that's awesome there. My main concern here is with this tire option. With this vehicle having trail in its name, Trailseeker, I guess it's wanting to go out into the trails and be adventurous. I wish they added or offered a little bit more of a rugged tire. Now, interestingly enough, the BZ Woodland from Toyota does offer a little bit more adventure-ready tire option. Subaru is not, and that leaves me to wonder if they are working on a sort of first ever EV wilderness model. Could the Trailseeker be receiving that maybe down the road? Who knows? But for now, you're going to have to go on the aftermarket and stuff on maybe a little bit more aggressive tire if you wanted to take this vehicle in a little bit more adventurous off-road settings there. This one's also getting a nice large power tailgate here, so we'll press that, open it up. And remember, this is not as large as the Subaru Outback. It's just close to there with the second row up. We have around 31 to 32 cubic feet of cargo space, and folding this second row down, which we can easily do with these little flaps on the side over here, we get around 74 cubic feet of cargo space. So really not too bad in that area over here. And this is a pretty large, spacious rear trunk. We can open up this floor section over here, and we have even more underfloor storage area over here, which is really great. That closes up nice and neatly over here. We're also getting a 120 volt socket over here that we can power on and off, as well as a cargo cover over here. And I can imagine there's a whole bunch of accessories you can actually fit into this trunk space if you would like to, from their configurator. Nice bright LED lights mounted on the actual trunk so that can shine across everything, so you have a little bit more visibility at night as well. So this is a nice upgrade from the Subaru Solterra, for example, and I think this might be a better buy. You're getting that power, you're getting the looks, I think, a little bit better as well, that practicality. And if you don't want to, step up to an Ascent or the Getaway, or you don't want a Forester or the crazy new styled Outback, this really does make a lot of sense, and it's priced well. It starts at $39,000, which is really not bad for an EV, and heck, in this touring trim, it's a little bit cheaper than the gas Outback. Okay, folks, let's go hop inside of the Subaru Trailseeker to see what it's like in the rear seats. Now we have our key fob here, which is a Toyota key fob. I really wish they went with the Subaru key fob, especially since this is built in their own plant. And we have a pretty wide door opening. It does not open to a full 90-degree angle though, but I think it's still wide enough to get in and out pretty easily, especially with kids and car seats. And before we hop fully inside, we'll have a quick look at our door panel over here. Pretty nice materials, actually, nicer than some of the gas Subaru models, but let's hop inside. Again, getting in and out's really easy. We can close the doors super easy as well. pretty solid thunk here. We have some nice softer touch materials in this upper portion over here. That's sort of like kind of gray ice leather on the side, and simple controls, just a window control over here, a little cubby on the upper portion, very large cubbies over here for some cups and mugs, which is great. And I have a good amount of legroom in this vehicle. Now, interestingly enough, I actually have more space, just a little bit more in a Subaru Outback, the new Outback, for example. But this is really not short on space whatsoever. I have an incredible amount of knee room and leg room, I feel like, in here. And this is behind my driving position. I'm 6 feet tall. We have a good amount of space in this little cubby over here behind the front driver's seat and behind the front passenger seat. You can get a few different interior color options as well, such as a blue leather, or even getting heated outboard seats with 3 stages on both rear outboard seats. And we have 2 USB-C ports back here, as well as our own air vents, and that's really nice to see as well. We also have a pretty flat floor, so I could sit right in this center seat over here and still have enough room on the outboard seat areas for fitting additional passengers, which I think is pretty nice. The seats themselves are pretty squishy and soft actually overall, and overall the design's quite nice. I really have no major issues other than with this being an EV, the floor is a little bit on the higher end, so your legs kind of have to do this little arch a little bit higher than you may expect. We do have a nice center armrest over here that is squishy and soft. We have 2 cup holders over here and a little bit of some additional storage right there as well. So that's an overall nice design space back here. And we're getting our own bright LED light as well. And if you haven't seen already, this large panoramic glass roof that unfortunately does not open, but you can't even get a panoramic roof in the new Outback, for example. So if you want one and you want a Subaru wagon, this is actually your only current way to do so. Let's go hop in the front end of the cabin here. We do have power unfolding mirrors on this particular one and keyless access, so I can just touch my hand there. Mirrors unfold really quickly, and again, this is where you get a massive door opening up front, which is nice. And we'll hop in to see this pretty crazy cabin. Same treatment on the door panels as we saw in the back. Overall, pretty nice design, and fit and finish is great. Again, we have these leather seats in this particular one that are heated and ventilated. We have a lot of power adjustments down here as well. This one isn't coming with all weather floor mats, which is a little bit honestly of a disappointment, especially for the weather this week. So let's hop inside though and check out this cabin. Getting inside up front's pretty easy. Again, pretty decent door thunk over here as well, and we have our power button still in this vehicle, so we'll put our foot on the brake and power it on. I will note off the bat here, as you're going to see, these screens do take a little bit of some time to turn on. So we turn the vehicle on, we're doing a startup sequence here, and it does take a little bit of some time. We finally got to this continue warning screen here that I can't press. There we go. Okay, so it's finally on now. But if you do ever need to go in reverse, the backup camera will always override actually that startup screen there. So this is a very familiar interior space to us. We just saw this in the all-new Subaru Solterra that was updated for this model year as well. So we have our nice steering wheel design here wrapped in leather, which I think feels a lot better. They did kind of redesign this steering wheel for this generation, as updated generation here, so it's flat bottoms, and this is supposed to give you a little bit of a better view of this digital cluster over here, though depending on how you sit, it still may block a little bit of that screen, so definitely keep that in mind. The buttons on here are generally pretty fine. We just saw this steering wheel on a lot of Toyota products as well. So we just had the Toyota Prius. It had the exact same steering wheel shape and design here. So some controls over here. We have a button here to control some of the information on this digital screen up here, which, we're not the biggest fans of. We said it in every vehicle that has it. It's a little bit small. The graphics are a little bit outdated looking, and I think for a lot of people, I think too much stuff is just kind of cluttered into this one little small space. They should have filled out the whole space here. Hopefully we'll see that, something coming down the road there. We do have automatic headlights and automatic wipers, which is a nice touch. We have this driver monitor over here, which I've had a lot of issues with this week. I think I turned it off and it's still working. And I was going around a corner actually, and as you can see here, the steering wheel kind of blocks it when you're going around a corner, and then it thinks that it can't see me, so it starts beeping at me and taking up half my screen. So this could use a little bit more work on its placement and overall just functionality there. And the button and controls here are, I think, a big highlight. We still have quite a lot of buttons over here. So we have our automatic mirror controls over here, for example. They all feel pretty nice, and they're very similar to what we're going to find in Toyota, even some Lexus products as well. We have buttons over here for our headlight washers, automatic high beams, our trunk release, and I like these physical buttons over here for interior dimming. Some cool materials up here. We have ambient light strips throughout the entire dash as well. Normal designs for our air vents as well. I believe the Subaru Getaway may have them actually integrated into the screen, so keep that in mind there. And we have a lot of stuff going on in the center console space over here. We have dual wireless chargers here, which is a nice redesign from we saw from the previous original Subaru Solterra. We saw this in the updated Solterra. They aren't cooled though, and they don't have the best grip section over here, so your phone may move around and they may overheat your phone as well, so keep that into consideration. We do have a nice large hazard switch right there, and since it has this floating style design for our center console, we have this huge underfloor storage space over here with 2 USB-C ports and a 12-volt socket, so that's a really nice touch there. And this whole center console area over here I think is much improved than the previous iterations. We have our large shifter over here. We push down and right to drive, left for reverse, and hold down in the center for neutral if you do need so. And that pulls up our camera systems. We have the full 360 camera system suite on this one. Pop it into reverse. We got our reversing cameras with trajectory there. And I like all the physical buttons there, so we can access this camera really easily if I need to. We have a hold switch as well. We have our drive modes, so that will actually cycle through eco, power, and just a normal mode there, which is nice. We also have a traction off button, our X modes. This is going to enable us to do a snow and dirt mode, as well as deep snow and mud mode as well. So Subaru has kind of tuned this dual motor all-wheel drive system to their own liking to make it very similar to their combustion vehicle. And this also is great if you are taking this on a trail or something. It has this off-road grip control as well. It's kind of like an off-road cruise control style system. So Subaru is really focusing on the capability of this all-new Trailseeker, which is great to see. We also are getting 2 cup holders over here, which are pretty good general position, I would say. And we have this pretty large center glove box design here, which is pretty important because we don't have an actual glove box, just like on the Subaru Solterra over here. We get this heating pad. So this is a radiant heating pad here. We originally saw this on the Lexus RZ. We're also getting a heating pad underneath the steering wheel over here as well. And that is combined with our heated seat button here. You can see that little radiant heating icon there. It's supposed to help you get warmer in the winter, colder climates without having to turn on the heat. It works sometimes. This center console armrest over here opens in this kind of split folding design, just like many Toyota products do, which is, you know, this is using a lot of parts from. And thankfully, while it may not look super big right now, we can actually pull this little cover up over here, remove it, and you get even more storage space down here. So you can see it kind of goes a little bit further back than that little cover has here. And again, this is pretty important because we don't actually have an actual glove box it's a little difficult to put in there, to store stuff in or lock. And this doesn't lock either, unfortunately. So you don't actually have any true locking storage within the interior cabin of the vehicle here. We are particularly getting this really nice digital rear view mirror on this top end touring spec over here. We can put it as a regular mirror if we want as well. Integrated home link, and it actually cleans with the rear wiper. So you can see the wiper kind of going across it right there and cleaning the camera if it does get a little bit dirty in the rain, for example, which is nice to see. And we also have a wonderful feature, a sunshade. Thankfully, despite this little loud motor here, we do actually have a sunshade for our glass roof. A lot of EVs these days are just giving you a glass roof. And now, of course, we come to this infotainment system over here. We have seen this many times before. This is, this latest generation infotainment system on the Subaru Trailseeker and even the Subaru Solterra. I would say the one in the Subaru Outback is actually quicker and way better designed overall, but it works okay in this layout here. We do have these physical buttons here for our temperature adjustments here if we would like. So if we turn on our climate system, we can make our temper adjustments right there. It's fine, pretty easy to access, but it would always be nice to have physical buttons for these. We have some hotkeys over here. So this is like a favorite menu, so we can swipe through all of this, adjust all your safety systems over here. We have proactive driving assist, a Toyota derived system here, which I like to call a sort of quasi automatic regenerative braking mode there. It's actually quite useful. We have a built-in navigation system over here, though. If your subscription or connected subscription does expire, you will have to pay more to kind of have access to this. Otherwise, you can just use wireless CarPlay or Android Auto, and that takes up the whole screen. We have built-in audio systems as well. You can even kind of sign in to Apple Music or Amazon Music into the system here, which is great. We also have a whole bunch of menus over here. And just as I mentioned on the pretty much every vehicle we've tested now with this infotainment system, it's a lot of menu hopping to kind of go through. You do get battery preconditioning, which is nice, but you really don't have a lot of battery information and these EVs, we had the same issue with the Subaru Solterra. You really can just see your charging schedule, some trip information, your battery preconditioning, and that's about it. If you go into this screen up here, you can actually see a really cool tidbit of information that I don't typically see in a lot of EVs though, which is your battery health. So we have 100% battery health status. But if you go into your settings, again, even deeper, you have so many things to customize throughout the entire vehicle. And you do have to be in park actually to adjust most of these settings. We have 64 color ambient lighting here. So you have quite a lot of adjustment in that department, which actually is a really nice feature for a Subaru. But other than not having a glove box, it's pretty good of a nice use of space in here. We have a lot of storage cubbies all around us. Visibility is really great all around you as well. I like that we have a cover for our large sunshade over here, and it's not just an open sunshade. And overall, it's a pretty good, more updated interior with some things that could be updated, I think, still going down the road. But let me know what you guys think about this all-new Subaru Trailseeker's interior down in the comment section below. We're starting off in normal mode here. Jeez, this thing is also the quickest Subaru that we've had. So almost 400 horsepower. It's like 375, I believe. They really went wild on the power figure with this particular vehicle, and you definitely notice it out on the road. And another big thing you're going to notice here versus, let's say, the Subaru Solterra that we've tested, the heavily updated one, is this drives a whole lot better than that vehicle. And we have a whole bunch of really great safety features built into this. We have paddle shifters here for our regen modes, which are okay. I use the proactive distance control system, which is a Toyota derived system here, which I think is fantastic. It's almost like a sort of adaptive regenerative braking mode. So it kind of recognizes the vehicles around you and it will start slowing down for you, not coming to a stop like a full one pedal drive, but slowing down for you to kind of prepare you for a stop. But in those events, and when you learn to drive with it like that, it kind of acts like this adaptive regenerative braking here. I'm going to pop it into power mode and turn off traction control just so you guys can see how quick Subaru is, because it can do 0 to 60 in like 4 seconds flat. It's pretty wild. Whoa. Wow, yeah, that's pretty wild. This thing is a rocket. So if you want a really crazy fast Subaru, you got to come into the all new Subaru Trailseeker with its insane power figures here. But we also have an eco mode as well. And what I liked in the Subaru Solterra that carries over here is that it coasts. So we're going downhill right now, and you can just see it's gliding along. And despite this vehicle having a pretty small battery pack, it's in like the high 70 kilowatt hour range, it can still get around, they claim, up to around 280-ish miles on the smaller wheels. This vehicle is much more efficient when it's driving than initially expected. I've been averaging 4 miles per kilowatt hour. Yeah, and that's just this trip. If we go over to our total average, it's been 3.4 miles per kilowatt hour. That's pretty good actually for this size of vehicle. It's almost like a wagon SUV. And once you learn how to drive this properly and you're not constantly on the accelerator, it really does deliver a little bit more range, I've noticed. Now, it is hot out this week. In the colder temperatures, as we saw in Solterra when we had that vehicle in the winter, you are going to lose some range here, but we do have battery preconditioning and all that stuff. Now, what is something that's very interesting with this vehicle, I'll pop it into power mode just for a second again, is that I think this drives insanely good. You know, Solterra was fine, the original one. I wasn't a big fan at all. The updated one really changed quite a lot of stuff. Subaru stiffened up chassis components. They redid motor. It was a lot of big changes just for a facelift here. And all of that was carried over to this Trailseeker, but also enhanced and improved even further. They've tuned it a lot more to be like a typical Subaru driving experience. So in an Outback or in a Forester, you feel that more connected feel to the rest of the family, that lower center of gravity style driving experience that you're really getting out of a battery electric vehicle with the battery mounted low. And it also feels just overall a lot more solid than the Subaru Solterra. It really gives the feeling of the Outbacks of 2 or 3 generations ago, where yeah, on the exterior it's clean, generally reserved, a little bit rugged looking, and it may not look visually, you know, premium or, you know, maybe even expensive. But once you get into it, once you drive it, you're like, oh, this actually is a really good, unique driving experience. This Trailseeker offers that. I didn't really feel that out of Solterra, and hopefully we'll be able to test out the Subaru Uncharted and Getaway down the road too. But this definitely feels more akin to like a Forester or Outback. Okay, we're about to head out onto the highway here. For that direct steering. Yeah, that is quite nice compared to Solterra. Pop it back into power mode for another quick acceleration here. Turn the traction control off for a little bit of some fun as well. This is a surprisingly quick vehicle. And have a listen to this. Oh, and there's 60. Wow, that is exhilarating. Yeah, and I like how this is the only power option you can get in the Trailseeker. There is no other power option to get here, which is pretty cool. So all Trailseekers, regardless of trim, are going to get this wild amount of horsepower in a Subaru. Now, on the highway, this is another area where I think Subaru did a little bit more enhancements and tuning compared to Solterra. I think from driving the new Solterra Touring, this is also a Touring, that this is a much quieter cabin. It feels more solid. Steering and suspension out here are also really comfortable. I feel some road noise coming in through my footwell area, but the seat's pretty much isolating the rest of all that out for me. Steering wheel vibrations are pretty minimal. This is a pretty rough patch of kind of like concrete style road here, so you get some more vibrations than a typical asphalt style road, but I think it's really well damped out for this class of vehicle. Much more traditional and in line with Subaru. So now we also have a great, well, Subaru calls eyesight, but it's really the same kind of safety system sensing suite that you'll find in the Toyota variant products as well. But it works the same way. We have a camera-based system here, and we just turned on our radar adaptive cruise control, and we have, in this particular one, auto lane change assist. There we go. So it gives you a little icon there on your digital cluster that's changing lanes. So if you are, you know, on a long road trip and you're just so tired and don't want to change lanes yourself and look all around you, just, you know, make sure your hands on the steering wheel. Definitely still check your mirrors and just, you know, tap up or down on your turn signal stalk there, and you'll have an auto lane change. Well, that's a pretty cool feature as well. This vehicle also has a upgraded Harman Kardon audio system, and surprisingly, it's actually pretty good. I think this interior design's pretty nice. It's the same overall layout we've seen in the Solterra. Do another auto lane change here. Yes. Oh, this one's taking longer. I think it's because we're on a curve. I have not been in a vehicle as of yet that can match a BMW's level of auto lane changing. It is instant. It's so confident and rapid. All these other systems just take a little bit extra time to check around them, but I'm sure that BMW is doing all those checks as well. And otherwise, to wrap up my week so far in the Subaru Trailseeker, I'm pretty impressed overall. It's you know, it's delivering a overall similar experience that I would expect out of a new Subaru EV, which is to say it's pretty quick, even though Solterra was pretty quick that we tested, and the driving experience has been enhanced with this, you know, update that they've been doing. And I'm glad to see that they've even worked on this Trailseeker even further than Solterra as well. I think this is a pretty good option, as I mentioned, if you're not really in tune with the new design of the Subaru Outback. The pricing is not too far off of a Subaru Outback as well. It's not ridiculously more expensive. The only thing I would take caution of is the range figure. Depending on what trim you're getting, the larger wheels in this particular, you know, touring spec are definitely going to have a negative effect on your range figures compared to, let's say, you know, the entry level models here. And even then, it's still not the most impressive figure. I would have loved to have seen them stuff in a larger battery pack, but of course, that would mean raising costs and adding weight. This is a pretty light vehicle overall for its class, around 4,600 pounds. That's not too crazy for an EV, a large wagon that's like around the size of a Subaru Outback. So overall, pretty impressive. Would I get one right now? I don't know. I would wait a little bit and just kind of see if there's any maybe incentives or maybe issues that may arise. It's a brand new vehicle coming onto the market like right now, but I think it's a good first impression. It's open cabin, really spacious. You got the extra storage space with the longer rear end, and I think it looks really cool for the Subaru lineup. I think they're really honing in this EV design language, and the packaging is all coming together a little bit more slowly than expected, but it's definitely coming together. Anyways, guys, thank you for joining us on yet another full tour and review over at Allcarnews. I'm going to pop it back into our adaptive cruise control, as it seems to be have quite a lot of traffic this morning. And stay tuned for more, as always, for reviews, news, and other fun stuff, all related to cars to come. Cheers.